Hey everybody, and welcome to the final episode of the Funtopia playthrough. So here we finally wrap up the scenario objective. I didn't realise it's been almost a month since the last episode. The vortex recreation I did took up a fair bit of time. I also got invited to contribute in a tag park on the DKMP Discord server, so that took a bit of time to finish off as well. So I'm actually planning to post the build video of that in the next week or so, so yeah, keep your eye out for that one soon. Anyway, back to the park here. So the first thing I do is create an underground path between the kind of big vertical loop of Grapevine and the entrance, because guests were getting stuck over in the kind of viewing area. So yeah, I thought it best to get another path kind of going across the highway. I didn't want to build another bridge because I didn't really have time for that, so I just thought a tunnel was the best way to do that. I add in a few flat rides, including the twister or scrambled eggs, as well as the roto drop. I wanted to keep the kind of grid system I had in place going for this section of the park, and I thought this kind of looked nice and neat and tidy. I have mixed feelings about roto drops and free falls actually. I mean, on one hand they're great in terms of stats, profitability, but I find them a real eyesore at times. Like, I was finding that the roto drop here was kind of blocking the view of Trellis, which is the wooden coaster at the back of the park, and that kind of bothered me, to be honest. I kind of regret it in a way, but you know, I think it all looked right in the end. It just usually I like putting freefall towers kind of near the edge of the map to minimize their blocking the view of other rides, but I didn't really see any other great spot to put it in. But yeah, oh, never mind. So something I started adopting is leaving a tile between flat rides and the path. I like doing this because I can fill in the gaps with shrubs, gardens, etc. I think it just gives the park a more complete feel and looks a little bit nicer than having the brown flat ride floor texture right up against the path. But yeah, I think I'll stick to that from now on. I think it looks kind of nice. After I was done with those flat rides, I added in a river ride, or a splash boats ride as I think it's called in RCT2. These rides are awesome, mainly because of their great stats and their relatively high capacity. Like, these boats hold, I think it's 16 or 20 passengers each. The only thing that's not so great is the limited pieces you have to work with. You're only given like S-bends and the really wide 3x3 turns, so it's really hard making them compact sometimes. But anyway, I figured it out in the end. What I did to make things easier was actually start off with the big drop and the flat kind of level section, mainly because I wanted some nice path interaction, but I also didn't want it getting too close to that wooden coaster. So I think where it is fits in really nicely. I realized there's a kind of a hideous building that the lift's in. But it seems to be the case with most of these rides in real life that the lift hill is kind of covered. Well, I mean, I've been on a handful of these rides, one of which is in Universal Studios. I think it's called Jurassic Park The Ride or something. And yeah, that has a kind of a dark ride section where you climb the hill and then you get thrown back outside with that huge drop. So yeah, it's I did my best to kind of cover it up with trees and stuff, but yeah, I realize it's not the most attractive thing that I've ever made. Yeah, so what I was going for here, just overall, was a kind of semi-jungle or haunted, sort of creepy area. I really wish I had the jungle theming unlocked, but I don't think I was going to get that in time before the scenario objective time limit, so I just kind of did my best with the darker looking shrubs and mixing up ground textures. Yeah, I put in a bit of a graveyard out the front of the haunted mansion, which I wish I had a little bit more space for that, but you know, I think it looks reasonable enough. You probably noticed that I put a few things on top of the buildings, like the piece of monorail track to act as like an air conditioning vent or of some kind, and a few pieces of the mine theming as well, just to, I don't know, give it maybe a little bit more realism. I then decided to do something even more useless, and that is use some chairlift cables to block out some of the supports of Grapevine. Now, the supports that are drawn, I feel like they're just too close to the road, which I know is ridiculous, but I kind of just wanted to clean it up a little bit, so I thought I'd draw in a few chairlift cables, which you can barely see from most angles, and I just wanted it to block out some of the supports, just so the supports weren't basically drawn on the road, which would be very unsafe. So then I go in and make some changes to Grapevine, which I don't know, that might be considered blasphemy among some of the RCT community members, but if I had one thing that I didn't like so much about Grapevine, it's the way it kind of ends. So after the kind of Batwing or reverse Cobra or whatever it is inversion, there's the flat section and then a couple helixes and then back up into the station. There's just lots of wasted speed. It comes like roaring into the station, so like it's primed to have a station brakes failure at some point. And yeah, that's never a good thing. So what I wanted to do is kind of fill out some of that awkward space at the back of the park. And I did that by building a couple interlocking corkscrews, and then a couple short turnaround sections, and then a small helix just to finish it off. I was going to go with a large one, but it just didn't look right, and it was going a little bit slow by that point. But yeah, I really like what I came up with as a new kind of ending for the coaster. I think it looks much more satisfying, and I really like the path interaction with the interlocking kind of corkscrews. One thing that you've probably picked up on is that I'm pausing the game quite a bit while I navigate menus and pick various scenery pieces. This is just because I was running out of time pretty quickly, and it definitely saved a few minutes of building time, which I definitely needed towards the end there. Anyway, hopefully it's not too disruptive, but just didn't see any other way around it. As far as theming goes for Grapevine, I decided to kind of keep it sort of plain. I think with the coaster itself is like really busy, and I think adding a bunch more trees around it would just make it look a bit crowded. I realize the excitement rating would be boosted up even further, but it's not as if it needed any more excitement rating. It was around 8.8 as it was. Oh yeah, I needed to change the cars from the stand-up coaster trains to the sit-down ones, because otherwise the intensity was like over 10. Then I put in a Gravitron just at the back, kind of did some minimal theming, I suppose. Nothing too exciting, just painted a few of the walls and added some more ground shrubs. I called it Raisin Havoc, which I thought was kind of fitting with the Grapevine theme. And the last thing I did was, I was going to leave it at that, but then I thought, I think I can fill in one of these little car rides just in this little pocket here. And yeah, I'm pretty happy with that decision. I managed to squeeze in a few more ground shrubs and nice little trees around the place. I couldn't fit in an actual queue line for the ride, but you know, I changed it to single capacity trucks, so I don't think that was a huge deal. Anyway, I go in and make a few little final touch-ups at the end just to kind of complete the park. And yeah, completed the objective fairly comfortably, have almost 1,800 guests, so I used the advertising campaigns fairly extensively, which really helped. So going on a quick overview of the park, we've got Little Raisin, which is that steel mini coaster I built right at the start. Added in a little bit of the mushroom sort of theming. Defibrillator, which I kind of made some changes to reduce its overall footprint, which I think worked out nicely. Trellis, which is a big kind of GCI style woody at the back of the park. Probably my favourite coaster actually, aside from Grapevine. I really like how that one turned out. Got Ragin' Raisin, which is the booster launched steel looping coaster. Also really happy with that. I like the little bit of interaction that it has with Trellis, kind of as it finishes off. And then of course the changes I made to Grapevine, just a quick overview of it there. Yeah, I like those interlocking corkscrews. I was pretty pleased with how that turned out. Anyway, that's going to be just about it for the playthrough. Thank you guys very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Cheers, bye!